Washington Huskies and Oregon Ducks' motivation to try to get into the Big Ten has not changed. It has not changed because of the expanded college football playoffs going from 4 teams to 12. That's not the motivation. The college football playoffs is not going to slow down realignment. What's going to slow down realignment is media companies not willing to pay what is needed for the expansion to happen, for more Big Ten content, for one example. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. This is episode 38. We have to talk about this once again because the national reporters, many of them, and I'm trying to be kind here, many of them still do not understand the issues around realignment, consolidation. They're not understanding the prime motivation of trying to stay above the stratification line. Again, we're not picking on anybody on this show. The only person that we can rip on this show is your host. That's it. But we're going to have to get into this article that Dan Wetzel just wrote for Yahoo Sports. Dan Wetzel is a somebody. Remember that. I'm a nobody. If you need proof of that, just look at my pinned tweet at Flug Empire. Okay? He writes a fine article here. He was just released about a half hour ago. But there's a gaping hole, just a huge gaping hole in this article, of this line of thinking, that we need to talk about yet again this evening. So let's get to the article. Then I'll get to my thoughts. And again, I want you to write down your comments on this comment section below the video. I read all your comments. And please hit the like button if you like the content. Subscribe to our channel and please share the video with your friends and family. It helps us so much. Thank you so much. Let's get to the article. We got to dig into this. Dan Wetzel, very fine reporter, Yahoo Sports. This article just came out. And I'm going to read it. And then we're going to get to that big, huge, gaping hole where I believe this type of thinking just collapses and does not work in this changing world of college sports and in particular college football. This is Dan Wetzel. Earlier this week, Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark was again open about his interest in expanding his conference. Obviously, going out west is where I would like to go, Yormark said during a visit to future Big 12 member Cincinnati. A program that has national recognition, one that competes at the highest level in basketball and football. In other words, pretty much all of the Pac-12, which Yormark has been boldly targeting since USC and UCLA jumped to the Big Ten in late June, restarting the conference realignment speculation. The thing is, Yormark's comments, or the probability of them coming to fruition, were a lot stronger last week than they are this week. This time they are mostly brushed aside as wishful bluster. Okay. I sort of disagree with that, but that's not the main part of this article that I want to get to. Next paragraph. This is Dan Wetzel. The decision last Friday to expand the college football playoffs to 12 teams, including 6 spots reserved for the top 6 conference champions, will change how the game is played, let alone how its champion is crowned. It will also, almost everyone in college athletics hopes, tamp down an additional realignment. I think we need a break, one major athletic director stated. We need some calm. Nothing would adversely impact interest more than football being controlled by just 2 or 3 super conferences, while entire school, fan bases, and leagues are left by the wayside. Okay. Let's use the University of Oregon as an example. Certainly, Yormark would jump at the chance to add the Ducks. However, what is Oregon's incentive to leave the Pac-12? If it were the Big Ten, who can offer maybe 30 to 40 or more million or more in annual revenue calls, then yes, Oregon is gone. The school is actively trying to lobby its way into the league. However, if the Big Ten doesn't want Oregon, more on that later, then staying in the Pac-12 is far more appealing this week due to the league's almost certain automatic bid to the playoffs. The Big 12 can offer only the promise of stability and perhaps more media rights value, although that will be limited. Maybe there's a few more million to be had, but with an automatic playoff bid available for the taking, the dynamics change. Oregon is arguably the best situated football program to win the Pac-12. It has won 6 of the past 13 conference titles, including 2 of the past 3. It lost to Utah in the title game last season. With USC gone, the path to league dominance is a little clearer. This is true of the whole league now. There will soon be a viable path to the playoffs, something no Pac-12 school has qualified for since 2016. Why crowd into a 20 to 22 team league in a merger when you can stay and compete against just 9 other schools? Again, don't agree with that at all. We'll get back to that. The challenge for Oregon or anyone else is no longer to build its program up to a top 4 national status. It's to capture regional supremacy. Then once in the playoff, go see what happens. Okay? Just go see what happens. All right. The Pac-12 under the future playoff plan offers a tremendous situation that only the Big Ten or SEC riches could top. So why would anyone listen to your mark? And vice versa, why would any Big 12 team where the competitive balance will quickly flatten once Oklahoma and Texas leave for the SEC want to jump to the Big 12 or anywhere else? Perhaps for once, everything won't be about the promise of a little more media revenue. A lot more we get. Winning brings its own riches too in the form of ticket and merch sales, donations and sponsorships and so on. It's also fun, big game, league titles, playoff bids, and so on will deliver excitement, recruits, publicity, general student body applications. Put it this way, why would you be an Oregon fan right now, or would you rather be an Oregon fan right now or a UCLA fan? The Bruins will get rich, but who cheers for the bottom line? That right there is the paragraph that tells me that there's still a misunderstanding of the future of college football and college sports from Dan Wetzel and many others. I'm not trying to pick on any one person. Believe me, this article, many national writers would nod their head in agreement. I'm going to skip down a paragraph. We're going to do one more paragraph because that was the big one, right? That was the big one. It's also fun, big game, league titles, playoff bids, and so on would deliver excitement, recruits, publicity, general student body applications. Put it this way. Would you rather be an Oregon fan right now or a UCLA fan? The Bruins will get rich, but who cheers for the bottom line? We're going to get to that in a second. And here's the other one. Oregon's biggest concern after USC and UCLA left the Big 12 was that its future home was still big time enough to lure prize recruits from across the country, such as 2023 5-star quarterback Dante Moore of Detroit. Well, Moore and his future teammates are going to have a better chance at the coveted postseason at Oregon than most anywhere else. Conference affiliation isn't a weakness anymore. It can be marketed into a strength. It's the same for the other non-Big Ten SEC leagues, including the Sun Belt, Mountain West, and McKay. Okay, we're not even going to go to the other parts of this article because, again, that is missing something huge. First of all, yeah, fans don't cheer for the bottom line. You are correct. But when UCLA, 5 years from now, is making $40 million more than Oregon, in a 6-year period could be from 2024 to 2030, UCLA could have made $240 million more than Oregon in just conference payouts. We're just not talking the difference in Tier 1 and Tier 2 payments of $40 million. We're talking about other revenue streams that the Big Ten and SEC is going to create that the Pac-12 will not be able to create. And you can go back to my other episodes, go back all the way to episodes 1, and you see all those examples. Everything from these new deals with the sports books that these conferences are going to get, just a whole bunch of different revenue streams. I'm not kidding. It's not out of the bounds that UCLA from 2040 to 2030 could make $240 million more than Oregon, just in conference payouts. Okay, so what does that mean, right? We're not cheering for the bottom line, right? Well, that means that Dante Moore is not going to be going, a Dante Moore quarterback in 2028 is not going to be going to Oregon. Why? They're not going to be going to Oregon because part of this new world of college football and college sports is there's going to be direct payments from the conference to the players. Possibly from the schools to the players, but from the conference to the players. Revenue sharing. Well, who's going to have more money for the revenue sharing for the student athletes? UCLA or Oregon? You see, Oregon becomes today's UCLA, and UCLA has the potential to be, in the future, to become today's Oregon in this new world. That's the whole point. That's why Oregon's motivation is to get into the Big Ten, and the same with Washington. In the springtime, when we at Peek Around the Corner at Flug Empire, we were talking about how USC called the Big Ten. And the national reporters were not on the story. And for months, we talked about the reasons why. USC wanted to get above the stratification line. The stratification line, this revenue line, where if you're above it, you can compete at your highest potential for national championships, not just in football, but in all these Olympic sports. If you're below the stratification line, your path gets narrower. Yeah, it's great that we have this democratization of the college football playoffs where more teams can possibly get in it. I love it. That's great. Great opportunity for G5. Great opportunity for Pac-12. Heck, great opportunity for my beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers, who will never have a chance to make the playoffs in a 14 playoffs. Okay? I get all that. But none of that changes the motivation of Oregon to try to get into the Big Ten. It's and set aside football, for example. I mean, it's all the sports. Remember, the football drives the revenues for the athletic department, but these athletic directors are getting pressured from boosters, from student athletes, from parents of student athletes, of about all their other sponsored sports in their athletic programs. When the Big Ten and SEC are going to be handing out revenue shares, media revenue shares to their to their Olympic sports student athletes, and the Pac-12 schools are going to be able to do what? Okay, Phil Knight just put a whole bunch of money into the Oregon's track and field place. I think back in 2019. Oregon wants to get above the stratification line. Heck, Oregon's men's hockey team, they're just moving up to HCHA Division I hockey. In years down the road, they want to go to NCAA Division I hockey. They want to get to the big boys, okay? It's better that if they get above the stratification line to fulfill all those dreams that they have, all those goals at the University of Oregon. And I'm talking about Oregon as an example because that's what's in the article. Same with Washington. Now, I know that Dan Wetzel isn't arguing that Oregon and Washington wouldn't take a Big Ten. They would go to the Big Ten, obviously. And he said that early in the article, to be fair. But again, he uses the example, this is Wetzel, Moore and his future teammates are going to have a better chance at the coveted postseason at Oregon than most anywhere else. Conference affiliation isn't a weakness anymore. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It isn't a wall. It's not something that you can't break through. Of course. Of course. But yes, conference affiliation is a weakness going forward. we're not going to get to the point. We're not getting to the point where it's power two and then nobody else. We're not getting to that. We see the democratization of the college football playoffs. We're going to see distribution model that's going to weigh heavily towards the Big Ten and the SEC in distribution of money in the expanded conference football playoffs. But we're not going to get to the P2 and nothing. We're not going to that world. But the world we are going to is schools such as Oregon and Washington still will be heavily motivated to get to the Big Ten. Your mark will be still heavily motivated to try to increase the value of the Big 12 over the Pac-12 to gain market share, to see if he can. It's not bluster. It's not bluster. It's being proactive. The reason why the Big Ten has just received a humongous media contract is because all their decisions in the last so many years to try to increase the value, to create their own conference network that many national reporters scoffed at when Delaney did that. It's your mark. It isn't about bluster. It's about being proactive. It's about trying to build his brand, his Big 12, for the betterment of the institutions that are in the Big 12. So yes, he's trying to get some. He's trying to get Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado. That's what he's trying to do. This isn't about. We don't know. Okay, let me end this by saying this as clear as I can say it. We do not know if the Big Ten is going to expand. We don't know that because we do not know what numbers they're getting from potential new media companies for the expansion to go to 17, 18, Oregon and Washington. We don't know what number that is. I'm sure Oregon and Washington would take a declined money payout to get into the Big Ten because they're highly motivated from everything we've just talked about. But we don't know if the Big Ten is going to get those numbers. But Big Ten is interested. It's been targeting Oregon, Washington, Stanford, and Notre Dame, which seems to be out of reach, since the day that UCLA and USC announced that they're joining the Big Ten on June 30th. And Yormark is interested in attaching some Pac-12 teams to his conference. That's not bluster. It's not cheering the bottom line. It's cheering the opportunity that money gives you as an institution and a conference. Because if Oregon stays in, let me finish this episode by saying this. Oregon with a huge brand, with a huge fan base, if they stay underneath the stratification line from now heading to 2030, if they stay in the Pac-12 conference, which might get $300 million, which might get $30 million per school per year in their tier 1, tier 2 contract, they won't be getting the Dante Moores as quarterback. They won't be getting the Dante Moores as quarterback because they won't. I mean, unless their boosters pay for it every single year, and the boosters just aren't going to do that, or most of them won't. That's the change in this college football world. Okay, thank you for your time. I wasn't going to do an episode. I read this article, and again, people just are not getting the change in this world of college sports. They're just not getting it. So stay with us here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to follow this story and other stories as the days and weeks go on. We just saw John Wilner talk about how he believes, John Wilner, Mercury News reporter, how he believes that Kliavkoff might have a offer to show to his schools in the Pac-12, a media offer from ESPN to lay before them to see if they sign on the dotted line or not within the next 6 weeks. 6 weeks brings us up to the middle of October. We at Peek Around the Corner told you all in July that was the hot window, August 15th, October 15th. That's where the decisions will be made, and it's looking like that's where the decisions will be made. Okay? Again, until next time, from all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, you all take care of each other. Thank you so very much.